Yo, what's up, everybody? Fabs here, trying to recover from another Cowboys loss on the road, and that one was tough against the Redskins, but kind of expected that, being that we just can't win on the road. Anyways, here is your early Week 8 waiver wire look, and Mitchell Trubisky's got to be in the mix. We've talked about him on NFL Fantasy Live, but this guy has now put up 27-plus fantasy points in 3 straight games. After a very slow start, he's looking good, and he needs to be owned across the board. And he's clearly now a guy you can start based on the matchups, and maybe even not based on the matchups with the bye weeks here. So he needs to be picked up if you're looking for running backs. Doug Martin, Jalen Richard, both need to be added if they haven't been done already. Marshawn Lynch is going to be out at least a month, maybe more. And I think Doug Martin is a starter and plays the Marshawn role, where Jalen Richard will continue to be the change of pace back. But keep in mind, Raiders play from behind a lot, so Richard's going to get some targets. Maybe he's the better option. In PPR leagues, Chris Ivory with LaShawn McCoy banged up today. He could end up being the guy there if McCoy is going to miss some time, and he did pretty well. Dominated the backfield touches there in Buffalo in McCoy's absence. Raheem Mostert in San Francisco didn't put up great numbers, but Matt Breida, he's just not a durable dude, and it looks like Mostert has certainly jumped Alfred Morris. And he needs to be owned, even if it's in some of those larger leagues. Ronald Jones, and I'm not sold on him as a guy that you can start with a lot of confidence. But Peyton Barber, after having a good game last week, had a stinker and got banged up in this game too. So if Ronald Jones is out there, and we're all hurting at running back, especially with the bye weeks here, Rojo's worth a look, and he plays Cincinnati next week. At wide receiver, boy, Tyrell Williams, right? You thought, oh, don't go chasing the points after what he did last week. And what does he do? He goes overseas and whacks the Titans for another long touchdown. But the Chargers are on a bye. So if you need somebody now, he's not going to help you. But if you could stash him, hey, he's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks. Danny Amendola needs to be owned now, especially in PPR leagues. If Albert Wilson and that injury that he had today keeps him out, Danny Amendola looks like he could be one of the top options in the pass attack for Brock Osweiler. And there's this whole drama going on with Devontae Parker. So you don't know what's going on there. So Amendola could be targeted quite a bit next week at Houston. Dante Moncrief, and I don't know what's going on with the Jaguars. All I know is they need Leonard Fournette back. But whether it's Blake Bortles or Cody Kessler, Moncrief has been their best fantasy receiver, especially lately. 13-plus PPR points in 3 of his last 4 games. Plays the Eagles coming up. Saints, Traquan Smith probably got picked up in your league already once Ted Ginn was placed on IR. But if he wasn't added, he's a good add too. Didn't have a great game, but it was against Baltimore. So Traquan Smith certainly seeing his value rise a little bit. And Geronimo Allison and Randall Cobb. These guys got dropped in a lot of leagues. And if you're on NFL.com, you can actually pick them up right now and don't have to worry about the waiver process if you drop a player you didn't start this week. And I've already done that. Allison, Cobb should both be back for the Packers. And Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback there in Green Bay. What more do I say? Allison, before he got hurt, was really good in PPR leagues. He was, at the very worst, a wide receiver 3 flex starter. He was doing pretty well. So Allison should be added. I'm getting a lot of questions about Michael Roberts. I don't buy it. 2 touchdowns. Hey, the Lions need a tight end, right? But I don't know that I'm going to be picking him up even at a thin position. I need to see a little bit more. Chris Herndon, Jerry O'Connell. I'm not going to say dumpster dive. I will say diamond in the rough, J.O. He called it. He was in my sleeper column as well this week in start him and sit him. And 2 games in a row, double-digit PPR points. Quincy Enunwa out. And by the way, Jermaine Kearse. Sorry, guys. I had a lot of good calls this week, but Jermaine Kearse was the worst one. I loved him, and he had an absolute stinker. 2 targets, and he played 62 snaps. So it's fantasy football for you. I apologize for the Jermaine Kearse bust. And finally, I don't know if the Patriots defense is available in a lot of leagues. They might be available in your league. I think they're available in maybe 30% of NFL.com leagues or 25. But still look, because they got the Bills coming up next week. And, the Colts put up a huge game against that team, and the Colts defense and all that. So if the Patriots somehow floating out there, make sure you go out, pick them up, and play them. I'm in a bunch of 10-team leagues, and they're about 50% owned in those leagues. So I know they're out there in some leagues. Anyways, that was your Week 8 look at the waiver wire here on a Sunday evening in Southern California. Hope you guys did well this week. Again, I apologize for Jermaine Curse. Can't win them all. We'll see you on NFL Fantasy Live.